Growing up and seeing Scorsese and George Lucas's and Francis Ford Coppola's, Spielberg's and De Palma's movies growing up in the 70s before I even knew these guys' names. And then now I'm a young man in the 80s. Now I know all their names, and and they're the great movie brat generation. They were the directors of our time. They were the exciting filmmakers. Even though they were getting older by the 80s, they were still had this youthful kind of energy about them. The whole kind of concept that they were all kind of friends amongst each other and they all came from film school. It was just really, really exciting. I personally gravitated to De Palma for, I guess, various different reasons, I think. Well, everybody likes Spielberg and everybody likes Scorsese. I'm not going to sign up to the most popular dude in school. That's not my thing. Not only that, like there were people that, back then, if you were a cinetiste or whatever, the people who really didn't like De Palma. You weren't going to get into gigantic fights, arguments over Scorsese. You weren't going to get into gigantic arguments over Spielberg. I mean, people being, pissy about him, but not arguments. Now I'm like, oh no, the guy's a fucking rip-off artist, man. He's no fucking good. He just fucking steals everything from Hitchcock. He's a piece of shit. And then like, no, you're the piece of shit. Way fucking better than Hitchcock. Part of loving De Palma back then was getting into fights about him and getting into arguments about him and practically getting into fistfights and defending him. Defending him was a thing. But also one of the things that I liked about him, I also think he's one of the great comedy directors, not so much his comedies, frankly, except for the early 60s ones, but the satire and comedy inside of his thrillers, even inside of some of his action movies, is fucking hysterical. And he was, there's a satire, there's a satiric element about him. And then also just, I loved his camera first approach to cinema. He wasn't about shooting two people, like a lot of my movies are two people sitting around a table talking. He tries not to do that. His was about taking the camera and creating something, moving an audience, making sure an audience is responding to the images that are going on.